9 races gone, 8 more to go. We've just turned the corner of the 2000 Formula One season.
Welcome to southern Austria for this weekend's Grand Prix. The championship situation is getting really interesting, and that gives us a perfect opportunity for another F1 special. On tonight's programme, Martin assesses the class of 2000 at the half-term stage. Plus, we look at the significant moments of the season so far. We managed to track down 3 of the power brokers in modern Formula One. Ron Dennis, Eddie Jordan and Flavio Briatore, as they discuss the present and the future of our sport. We spent some time in the Highlands of Scotland with Jackie Stewart in a reflective mood as he winds down from a glittering career spanning over 40 years. Plus, the latest word from Jenson Button on his career prospects. So, welcome to the programme. We're in the home stretch of the season with this weekend's Austrian Grand Prix. Just 8 left, 5 in Europe, followed by the first ever Grand Prix at the famous Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the USA. Then it's over to the Far East for Japan and the season finale in Malaysia. David Coulthard's gutsy drive at Magny-Cours has tightened up the gap with championship leader Michael Schumacher to just 12 points. Mika Häkkinen is a further 6 points back, followed by Rubens Barrichello. In the Constructors' Championship, there's just 6 points in it between the top 2, with Benetton and Williams fighting it out for the best of the rest honours.
So it's looking more like a 2-horse race at the moment between Michael Schumacher and David Coulthard. But don't count out Mika Häkkinen just yet.
Now, what about the Drivers' Championship? Is there any chance that you might help David now?
8 races to go. Hey, come on.
Puts us right back where we were after Monaco, so it's toing and throwing, but it gets us back a bit closer, and you know, I'm just really delighted that I'm building on my performances and Canada aside, getting good results.
Still a long way to go. I'm pretty sure we fairly quickly fix these kind of problems we see today, and we will have good races again after that.
It's been a mixed season so far in 2000 for most of the drivers and teams. Here's Martin with a half-term report.
Michael Schumacher's been the class of the field so far with 5 race wins. His Ferrari is quick, if not totally reliable. Schumacher himself has been on a mission, but displays of brilliant driving have been coloured by some questionable tactics. Rubens Barrichello's season has been more unstable. Races have been blighted by breakdowns and some chaotic pit stops. It's clear that Rubens sometimes struggles to match the pace of the top 3. Mika Häkkinen started well but has faded. With just 1 win in Spain, that championship hat-trick looks a tall order. After Brazil, it seemed like being another luckless season for David Coulthard. But 3 strong wins and an aggressive attitude have sparked a championship challenge that looks set to run and run. Benetton have been one of the surprises of the season. Renault's takeover has given them a huge boost, and some cool strategies have helped Fisichella to 3 podiums. But there's a danger of becoming a 1-car team. Alex Wurz has yet to score, and after too many silly mistakes, is sure to be leaving the squad. The other positive surprise of the year, Williams have a well-sorted car with Ralf Schumacher strong again and peddling a very promising BMW engine. Jenson Button started well, but has faded a little mid-season amid strong rumours he'll be dropped for next year. There'll be a seat somewhere. Jordan have lost touch with the top teams despite boasting 2 decent wheelsmiths. Trulli is giving Frentzen plenty to think about, but they must work together if EJ wants to stay the best of the rest. Precious points have been lost by poor reliability or driving without due care and attention. They'll need a storming second half to impress new engine partner Honda. Honda's official team, BAR, have had much better speed and reliability this year, but still have a long way to go. Jacques Villeneuve has run well thanks to some demon starts, but Ricardo Zonta has been nowhere and looks to have little support from the management. One team that has gone backwards this season, Jaguar's year has been a disaster. They lost momentum after the Stewarts departed and have had only 1 points finish thanks to Eddie Irvine. Reliability has been dire for Johnny Herbert in particular. He's now looking to revive his career with a possible move to the USA. Arrows have looked much better recently thanks to a genuinely quick car. Verstappen and De La Rosa have both scored points and can keep up with the big boys. The future's bright. Sauber, on the other hand, have not delivered yet again. Mika Salo continued to shine and kept Mika Hakkinen at bay in Monaco, but Pedro Diniz needs to stay on the road more often. Considering Minardi have a 2-year-old engine, they're not doing badly. Genet has been solid, if a little accident-prone. Mazzacani has shown he can hold his own at this level. But bottom of the class must be Prost Peugeot. When the team's not at war with itself, the drivers are having a go at each other on the track, if the car lasts long enough. Bizarrely, Jean Alesi has signed up for another year.
So, mixed fortunes up and down the grid. For me, there have been 6 really significant turning points during the season. The first one, amazingly, was in the very first race at Melbourne, Australia, when the McLaren team, which had tested so strongly during the winter, shot itself in both feet by failing to finish either Mika Hakkinen or David Coulthard, who both retired with engine trouble. So, winner Michael Schumacher already had a 10-point lead. Then in Brazil, after driving a superb race to finish second to Schumacher, David Coulthard was disqualified for a technical infringement which was no fault of his. Schumacher, another 10 points advantage. Round 3, San Marino, 10 more points for Schumacher, who finished ahead of both McLarens. And now, Michael had a massive lead over his 2 strongest rivals. Until Britain, the first of 3 superb wins for David Coulthard in the first half of the season. His passing of Rubens Barrichello was breathtaking, and with Schumacher third, the gap was reduced. Down it came again in Spain when 2 bodged fuel stops for Michael Schumacher dropped him to 5th behind a superb McLaren 1-2. McLaren were inching up on Ferrari. And then, to bring us right up to date, that very, very rare Ferrari occurrence, a blown engine for Schumacher in France. But that was after he had been breathtakingly passed by a super-determined David Coulthard. And now, with 8 races to go, the gap between Ferrari and Schumacher, McLaren and Coulthard is back to 12 points. That's close. Too close to call. A short while ago, Martin met up with 3 of his ex-employers, and they're all very important people in Formula One. Ron Dennis, he's the top man at McLaren. Flavio Briatore runs the Benetton team, and Eddie Jordan, of course, is Jordan Grand Prix.
Now, you've got teams of very different characters, the 3 of you. The flamboyant team, from the outside at least, the fun-loving team, the terribly serious team. Are those images and reputations correct?
I spent a lot of time laughing at him, so he's got his bit right. You got that bit right.
Ron, how serious is your team? I mean, it looks like it, you know, you're accused of being grey and boring and overly serious about things.
Well, we're very serious. We're very serious about winning, and I think that's what we're here to do. I think it's what all of us are here to do, and of course, some people can do it in different ways to us. The way we find best is to just keep focused and sort of close out the outside world, because there's a lot of interruptions and disruptions up and down the pit lane, and very often you can be distracted to the detriment of your performance.
It's a very serious answer. Ed, fun-loving, is that slightly rude about your team in a way? Do you take that in the wrong way?
I think there has to be, in life, there has to be a time for various different aspects of it, and like Ron, when he's serious about his racing, don't be misunderstood. We're very serious about our racing when we're actually at the point of it, but we've only got a short time in this life to be there, and I want to make sure we enjoy all aspects of it.
Flav, emotional, Italian, flamboyant team, is it right? Even though it's based in England?
You know, we're doing this kind of job, I believe, is fantastic. And when you're doing the good job, you're happy. And, you know, our team was happy when winning the championship, and now we are not there. Things are wrong.
Good memories,
No, was not so long ago. But, you know, I believe it's reflect the personality of the people, you know, and not because somebody is serious doing better job or worse job. I believe everybody in Formula One doing the best is possible. The focus is winning, and if you're winning with laughing, it's better.
So, how often would team bosses of Formula One talk, meet over the telephone or whatever, and do you trust each other?
difficult question
Silence
to
is deafening.
Yeah, it's a difficult question to answer, honestly. I mean, it's a fiercely competitive environment. And I think everybody's reasonably economical with the truth. But trust, I think in this true sense of the word, I doubt whether any team owner or manager trusts another team.
I've had transactions and deals, and some good, some not so good, with both of them. I've been on holidays in his place in Kenya a couple of times.
Not so good.
No, I wouldn't be too sure. Listen, I'm doing the talking here, not him. He's had his turn, now you shut up. And the same with the Dennis family down in their home in France. So I've seen probably both sides, from the family side, from the other side, the more, if you like, the disco, the rock and roll side with Flavio's. And they're both very different characters, as indeed I am, but I think there is an element of trust. I think when Flavio says something to me and he's saying it very straight, I actually believe clearly what he's saying. And I think the same with Ron. I don't think anyone that I know, and certainly the three of us, I don't think they'd absolutely lie straight to your face. They might do it behind your back, but then that's something different. No, but I think there is an element of trust. You can't say that we don't trust each other. I would disagree with that. I'd say there is a good trust between us. What out of that you want to believe is up to you.
Flav, would you give these guys a curveball at half a chance?
Depends for what. You know, I believe we're missing the communication between the team owner. And for something, I believe we need working more together. For something else, you know, we are in competition. But I trust, I don't have a problem. If Ron give me the word, I'm sure he'll keep it. With Eddie, I have a lot of fighting, 2 in court, and I managed to win.
I got paid, he won.
I managed to lose. But you know, his questions, I believe in our business we need to talk more together because we need to own our business.
Right.
Communication is very important.
Okay, moving on. You're the circus acts in this very big circus of Formula One. Bernie's selling it off, his slice of it. Is it his to sell?
It's an interesting question you passed to me,
Flavio.
Flav. Yeah, I think that there was a time when Formula One was owned by the teams. There was an opportunity in 1997 to confirm that fact. It was an opportunity missed by 7 teams, and it's come and it's gone. Now the commercial rights are established as being under the ownership of Bernie's company, and that's the way it is, and that's the way we have to work to.
That's it for the moment, but join us again after the break for a special trip to the Highlands with Scotland's own Jackie Stewart. This year, Jackie Stewart decided to slow the pace of his life right down and step aside as chairman of Jaguar Racing to give himself more time with his family and friends. Recently, James Allen accompanied him on a trip north of the border where his roots are to give him a chance to reflect.
I suppose having coming to Glencoe from about the age of 17 when I got my driving licence. The weather changes, the light changes, sometimes it's angry, sometimes it's frightening, and other times it's so placid and so incredibly beautiful.
Jackie has plenty of time on his hands now that he's sold his team and withdrawn from Formula One, but the team he left behind has struggled this year. So does he think that Jaguar came in too early?
We are not as well prepared as we should have been. And the move from the Stuart Ford team to be Jaguar Racing was bigger than anyone anticipated. I personally felt that we should have waited another year, learning to work with each other before committing ourselves to a brand new operation, because it has been disruptive. Having said that, we've got to get on with it and we've got to do it. And it's as simple as that.
Jackie took us back to the garage in Dumbarton where he grew up, pumped petrol and began his lifelong love affair with the motor car.
We used to have motor racing film nights here once a month in the winter, where we would clean all the workshop, make it immaculate, and then we would show motor racing films of Fangio and Stirling Moss and Mike Hawthorne and Peter Collins and Hans Stuck and everybody like that. When I was still in my teens.
Jackie's successful driving career had humble origins.
I drove in the hill climb here in the early 60s was one of my very first events. I drove a Marcus, which was a wooden car at the time with a small Ford engine. And down there, in fact, we can just see the old track. There was a thing called the hump and the bump, and it's going to rain, where you took off. And then you came up here, that's called Bridge Corner. You came up here, that's called the Cobbler, because that hill there, if you look at it from the other side, from down there, it looks like a man fixing a shoe. And then you came up to, this is obviously called Hairpin Bend. And then the finishing line was just here.
What's it like to sit at home or be up here in Scotland watching the Grand Prix on the television, the team that you built up and not being there yourself?
I'm always willing them on. I mean, I'm always hopelessly disappointed if something goes wrong. I think I'm like any other fan who's watching television and listening to Murray and listening to Martin and yourself. It's different. It's different. But I don't feel a loss from it. I have no disappointment from doing what I've now chosen to do. There's no vacuum in my life because of it.
Halfway through the season, and the man we've been watching for the whole season is Jenson Button. So, Jenson, how many marks out of 10 would you give yourself for what you've done so far?
I don't know if I'd mark it out of 10 because it's been a bit up and down. I mean, Silverstone was a good race for me, finishing in the points in 5th. And since then we haven't got any points. But again, it's been through different problems, and new circuits, for example, Monaco. I'm happy with the year so far. It's just hopefully the next few races I can get some more points. That's what I'm really aiming for.
You've had an absolutely meteoric career in Formula One terms, a long time in karts, I know, and then just 1 year each in Formula Ford and Formula 3. How tough have you found it?
Pretty tough, especially coming into Formula One this year, because I don't think there is any training for Formula One. I think Formula 3 is very good, Formula Ford again, and karting. But Formula One is so different than anything else.
When you say pretty tough, in what ways?
The driving, I wouldn't say is the toughest thing. Well, obviously it is. You need to have the natural talent and be able to learn very fast. But everything that goes with it, for example, the interviews and the press and all the stuff off the circuit is pretty tough, and you don't expect it when you come into Formula One.
Now, I hate to mention the dreaded word Montoya, but I've just mentioned it. You've got this looming Colombian presence, and people saying that Montoya is going to be in the team next year, and if he is in the team next year, the assumption is that you will not be. I mean, where do you stand at the moment on that?
Well, I think if I listen to all the press and everything, I'll be playing table tennis next year, so I haven't been listening to that too much because nobody knows what's happening yet. I mean, I think I'll be the first one to know, myself and Juan, who is actually driving with Williams next year, but I shouldn't think we'll know for another month or so.
Those in the know are saying Williams or BAR or Benetton. You can tell me, because I will not tell anybody, I promise you.
No problem. How's your hip anyway?
Thank you.
How's your hip?
My hip is fine, Jenson. You are learning the art of delegation. Well done.
This weekend, the Austrian driver Alexander Wurz will be using a redesigned Supertech engine for his home Grand Prix. It's just another part of the relentless advance of technology in Formula One. Here's Louise Goodman.
0 to 100 in 3.1 seconds, 800 brake horsepower and a top speed of over 220 miles an hour. Impressive statistics, but what else does a driver demand from his engine?
Most important thing is the drivability of the engine. So it's not important just to have simply the power, like in top revs, but you must be able to drive it from very low revs to high revs without any hesitations, without any hold. Of course you need to finish races. If you don't see the checkered flag, you've done something wrong. So you need durability. The engine must be small, quite narrow, must be light. All this is very important for the car, because if you have a small engine, more compact, you can make a better aerodynamic. So it's all a chain which goes around the engine.
One of these Formula One cars is a downforce in the order of about 2.5 tons. And G-loads in the corners up to 3.5, 4 G. So they're very high additional loads going through the engine.
oil temperatures, absolutely critical to the reliability of the engine, and water temperatures, many other measurements will be made.
Here we have a sample of the oil we've taken from the car, which we then analyse using the X-ray fluorescence spectrometer. For instance, if we see increasing levels of aluminium, we know that we might be leading to a bearing failure, in which case we can communicate that to the team and we can avoid the failure happening out on the track.
Drivers will be as demanding as the team. They'll want everything.
Well, that's it for tonight from Austria, but there's plenty more to come on ITV. Join us on Saturday live at 11:30 for the qualifying, and on Sunday live at 12:15 for the race. It's going to be great.
Ready? Hi, I'm Jensen Button.
It's all big.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm just waiting for something to happen.
I think she should start again.
Do I know about it? Can we grab a word, Mika? Why do you always get the giggles when I'm talking to you?
Making TV is very exciting.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. Which is probably better suited to today's cooler track position. Oh.
People think we make this up as we go along.
That's the same colour as my hair, isn't it?
Respect, Max.
Yes, we should do all this. This is like LEG.
Have you ever interviewed me before?
I interviewed you this afternoon after the qualifying session.
I don't know why I had to say respect. it's some wind-up.
Chilly and totally uninviting. That's the scenario. No, Pete, you're not panning up there, pal, are you?
It's going to take forever. Ready?
Ready.
And it's
A bit steep for you and me, Jim, but I reckon Teach could probably save us. Ah!
Come back up the inside of you on the way out, and it's a...
Hi, I'm Jensen Button. Start again.
Well, that was all right for me, chaps.